I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird shit going on with this.
I know.
What's up, y'all? If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. It's your man World, and it's been about 2 weeks since the killing of Charlie Kirk, and there's been a bunch of different narratives and stories from the FBI about what happened and who did it and why. As we'll see, Joe has only been passively paying attention to what's going on, and at the end of this, he'll get called out. But until then, let's watch these clips, and I'll give my thoughts on it afterwards.
First of all, there was that one guy who was the decoy. All right, so you got this guy who's an older guy who starts yelling out. Didn't he take his pants down? He took his pants down. This guy was at 9/11. He was at the Boston bombing.
All the hits.
He called in a fake bomb at another place, and then he did this at this thing. Right after, so somehow or another, this guy has the state of mind that the moment someone gets shot, he yells out and says, I did it, and takes his pants down or something like that. I don't know exactly what he did. Then, ready for this? He gets arrested for child porn right away.
Right after this happened?
Oh, right away. He's in jail for child porn. Why is that? Well, now you can't interview him.
Right, right.
Right, and because when the internet people start going, how are you at all these different things? Like, what are the odds? Like, if someone ran it through one of the ChatGPT fucking perplexity things, like, what are the odds that this guy would be at all those different events and be involved? Like, zero.
This is the guy?
Yeah.
I just like that the pants down part is just insane to me. It's like, why is your dick out, dude?
I did it. Listen, I'm not saying this guy isn't insane. He's clearly insane.
Yeah.
Or not. Or he's professionally insane.
Right.
That's where it gets squirrely.
That part right there, talking about the man that tried to get himself arrested by claiming that he was the actual perpetrator and then was about to be released by the FBI when they realized he actually had nothing to do with it until they arrested him for having child, pictures on his phone. But the rest of that story about him being at 9/11 and things of that nature is not really true. Here's Michael Tracy calling him out, which I understand, take with a grain of salt, but still. Michael Tracy will talk from a point of disappointment in Joe Rogan, tweeting, quote, Joe Rogan says there's a lot of weird shit going on with the Charlie Kirk shooting, like the, quote, decoy who was also at 9/11 and the Boston Marathon. This individual, local gadfly George Zinn, was at neither events. He was in Colorado on 9/11, 2001, and in Utah on 4/15, 2013. Tracy will continue. In a 2013 article on his arrest, Zinn is described as a well-known Republican activist who regularly shows up to anything to do with the Utah Republican Party. He claimed to have sent the threatening email as a joke. He received probation and his lawyer said he had mental issues. As you see here, April 17th, right after it happened, he sent the email saying, quote, I was wondering if you needed anybody to help place bombs near the finish line on Sunday. So that's something Joe must have saw passively and is now disseminating as news to his audience of millions of people. As Tracy will continue, it's no longer amusing or endearing for Joe Rogan, the guy with the biggest podcast around, to just hop on the pod and start rattling off demonstrably false fact claims about rapidly unfolding news articles. Millions of people listen to him as one of their primary news sources. Which is true. Some people just quote Joe Rogan as their source of information, which is very dangerous because Joe Rogan, by and large, is an idiot. Which is okay because he's just a guy with a podcast. There used to be a time where podcasts were just places where people would just talk and shoot the shit and make jokes. It wasn't such a serious place where people would take as fact. Everything was a fact and molded their personalities and political views. Especially Joe's pod. It used to be a place where he would interview archaeologists or scientists or people who believed in space and aliens and gave some type of thrilling stories about it, whether they were true or not. It was just a place for the stories to live. And I don't think we can blame Joe Rogan for being hundreds of $1 million up, surrounding himself with nothing but employees and people who want to be employees, and never realizing that that switch happened. And it's becoming more and more common that he's getting tricked by false headlines and AI. So he doesn't even know what's true, let alone is able to be a source of truth itself. But to be fair to Joe, I don't think he ever wants to be the source of truth. He just wants to shoot the shit with his friends on his podcast. I think he's more likely to be misled than he is actively trying to mislead others. But what do you think? Let me know in the comment section.
I almost texted you when the Charlie Kirk thing happened because my my antennas went up about, they showed the photo of that kid, or the guy that they have, the 22-year-old, whatever. And I was almost going to be like, dude, you think he's got the capability to do that?
Yeah, well, listen, there are people that look like that have the capability to do that.
Pretty accurate.
Nope.
No?
Not hard. Not hard at all.
Hard.
Let me dispel that. Okay. 200 yards from a prone position with a dead-on rifle. So if you have a dead-on rifle, so you set this rifle, you set your 0 to 200 yards, right? You know how far you're going to shoot. It is not hard at all.
He shot a lot?
You don't have to shoot a lot.
So
I could do it tomorrow.
If you're no, but you are experienced. If it's someone that's never shot, could they do it?
100%. Not
Really?
if they've never shot. They wouldn't know where to look. They'd have a hard time acquiring the like when you look through a scope. Like when the reticle is weird. Like it's sometimes
takes a minute.
You got to know the distance that you have to be from it to really line it up in your sights. But you could get a guy like my friend Andy Stumpf, who was a sniper in the SEALs. You could get him, and he could show you how to do it in an afternoon, and then you could hit steel at 200 yards every time you pull the trigger.
One day you could learn that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Not that hard.
Because it feels insane to me. I'm like, that seems tough.
It seems tough. We still haven't figured out whether or not the gun that shot Trump had a sight on it, because we weren't sure if it had a sight on it or if this guy was using iron sights. That was 140 yards. If you shot it with iron sights, that's a lot harder, because iron sights is you're lining up. So you have these two things in the back and there's one thing at the front of the barrel, and you got to line those bitches up perfectly, and that's how you stay accurate. That is a lot harder to do.
It's like old shotguns have those, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Pistols.
Yeah,
Like when you buy a
them.
Glock, that's what it comes with.
Right.
But this kid had a rifle with a scope. Now, here's where it gets weird. The first images of this rifle with a scope, I swear to God, it looks like he has a composite stock on it. Like it looks like a modern 30-06 rifle. So a 30-06, so that's the rifle. 30-06 is like, that looks like a very modern looking stock. I mean, it might not be. It might be just a bad resolution. It might be wood. It's hard to tell. But if you showed me that and you said, hey, this is my cousin's rifle, is this any good? I'd be like, looks like a standard bolt action rifle with like a sophisticated modern scope on it. Sure. Now, apparently, the narrative is that this is his grandfather's rifle from World War I and doesn't have a serial code. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Why? Wait. Why are you using such an old gun? Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, is it possible that an old gun can be that accurate? If you have a gunsmith and they work on it, yeah, it's totally possible. If you have a really good gunsmith and he sets, if you're like a nostalgic person, you like driving an old car, you could bring it to a mechanic, they could redo the brakes.
Sure.
So if you got a good gunsmith and he took a look at that and the action was true, and the bore is good, yeah, you could conceivably shoot with a gun for hundreds of years, right? Guns don't necessarily go bad.
Right, they don't expire.
Right, and especially because all the stuff like the trigger and the action and all that different stuff is replaceable. So you could just it's compartmentalized. It's components. That's the other thing. They said that he took it apart and then put it back together again. Shut the fuck up. Do you know how much time it would take to do that if you were highly skilled?
To disassemble a gun.
To disassemble a rifle so that you can get it in a backpack. And by the way, not going to fit.
Not going to fit in a backpack.
And then somehow or another reconnects it once he gets off the roof? What?
You see, that's not someone who's trying to explain the news or tell the news to somebody. That's someone who's reading news articles or social media posts and just giving his thoughts on it while talking to his friend. In this case, comedian Andrew Santino. That's not someone who's trying to purposefully mislead the public. So maybe Michael Tracy is being a little too harsh on Joe Rogan. At least this time. Not like when he brought on the FBI director or Elon Musk or Peter Thiel or any of those people. That's a different situation. But what do you think about all this? Let me know in the comment section below. Like this video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, please. Peace.